Well, we are at the last stage of the session, that is on National Conference on Sustainable Urban Transformation. So we are on the last phase. The last session topic is sustainable habitat, eco-friendly redevelopment. So here I would request Chairman Sir, S. Radhakrishnan Sir, to be in the stage, please. He will be chaired. The moderator would be the Shantanu Roy. Sir, we would. Okay. We would request Girish Sir of HPCL, please be on stage. We would request Anurag Sir to please be on the stage from Rupsal. Mr. Kaushik Dasgupta from Indian Express, can you please come on stage? And definitely BP Mukherjee Sir. So Radhakrishnan Sir, the set is for you to deliver now. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's always an advantage and disadvantage to be in the last session. The advantage is everyone is very keen to go back home, so your audience becomes half, but here I find it's quite a good response and people are there. The disadvantage is most of the subjects have been spoken. We really do not know what to say or what to repeat. But anyhow, we will try to do our best, and I'm sure my colleagues here will do their best to ensure to keep the matter interesting. It gives me a great pleasure to join this program, especially being involved with a session like Sustainable Habitat, Eco-Friendly Redevelopment. With one of my professional hats, I'm engaged with a business entity that creates sustainable habitats, Infinity Group. This company creates buildings for offices, especially for the IT industry in Kolkata and other cities. It gives us great pleasure to witness that the value of sustainability in built environments is being appreciated by the industry at large. In many cases, EV charging, carbon neutrality, water recycling, and other such sustainable facilities are being demanded by the organizations that are willing to take up spaces for office facilities. This is encouraging to see sustainable habitat is being synergized with core practices of business. This also helps many startups and MSMEs who are in co-working space or availing smaller offices space to take part in sustainable practices where the responsibility is shared. It is said that buildings, housing, and constructions are responsible for up to 40% of the greenhouse gas emissions. By incorporating sustainable building materials such as these, can we close this, please? Such as recycled steel, bamboo, and energy-sufficient insulation, we can reduce the environmental footprint of new and retrofitted homes. Housing and construction serve dual purposes, creating jobs and stimulating the economy. Therefore, it is important that sustainable approaches are followed for construction as well as services within the structures. Built environment is considered to be a long-term asset. So synergizing sustainable practices with the same will help creating long-term sustainable initiatives. In our country, we have a number of bodies like Green Rating for Integrated Habitat Assessment Griha, and Indian Green Building Council, who provide standardization of buildings' green value. Adoption of net zero energy buildings is also gaining momentum. I would also like to emphasize on heritage buildings, citing example of the Bengal Chamber of Commerce, the country's oldest institution of its kind, dating back its origins to 1833. Royal Exchange, the heritage building where the chamber is housed in Dalhousie area of Calcutta, is one of the few buildings in the country which boasts the Royal Coat of Arms. The building dates its history back to Robert Clive, being built in 1919. A royal coat of arms on a building signified that the building was officially associated with monarchy. It is a constant effort of the Bengal Chamber in preserving the legacy of the building and also making it sustainable landmark. CSE conducted an energy audit of our Bengal Chamber building in 2024. Prior to that, Energy Efficiency Services Limited also conducted the same in the year 2014. These exercises have enabled the Bengal Chamber to implement measures to improve energy efficiency within its building. Waste segregation and energy efficient behavioral measures are followed to contribute to its sustainable commitments. So I'm sure that the speakers on the dais will definitely speak on these subjects in a more detailed manner and for the benefit of all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. This, I think, was most befitting for an ex-PCCI chairman and a luminary in his own field to start the proceeding. Thank you so much, sir. The message was clear, direct. I think I have got no capacity to enhance upon it. With this, because many of you are feeling a bit sleepy, quite tired, let me give an example, quotation from a person whom I admire a lot. And I didn't know why I'm admiring when I was a young child, Winston Churchill. So I started reading about him, and this is one statement that I had written down. It says, "We shape our buildings, therefore they shape us." I repeat, we shape our buildings, therefore they shape us. This is a quotation from Winston Churchill. So, habitats are what we make of. And if we are not habitable in our own habitats, we will never be able to make our habitats sustainable. Our first speaker is Mr. Giri. I would like you to speak. Please come over, sir.
Fellow speakers on the dais, audience, thank you so much for BCCI and Jadavpur University Alumni Association. Thank you so much for inviting me to speak and give my views on the subject. Lot of what I was supposed to say has already been actually said in the previous sessions, particularly by other industry members like NTPC, GAIL, and others. So what I would like to here do is, I would like to present a perspective, look at the things slightly differently, how our cities would look like 15 years from now, or let us say 20 years from now. India is actually growing at a rate of 6.5% per annum. And for every incremental increase in GDP, the energy consumption happens 1.5 times. So every year you need, just to keep up with the GDP growth, you need around 10% increase in energy generation, such that you are able to provide access, availability, and affordability to the energy requirements of your citizen. And this needs to continue for next 20 years. So just to give you an example, China grew more than 10% for close to a quarter of century, or at least 20 years, to reach a stage where it is now basically a middle income country. So to provide a decent living, India needs to increase its energy generation capacity by 10% every year. And when we say 10%, what does it mean actually? So if you look at, earlier speaker also talked about primary energy consumption. Around 56% of your energy is today generated from thermal sources, coal, etc. And around 24 is from oil and gas, fossil fuels, and 6-7% or 8% is from natural gas. Less than 10% is from renewable sources. So if you look at the increase which is required in just the capacity of generation, for example, oil refineries, currently it is 23.5 million metric ton capacity. And if you need to keep up with the generation, with the production of fuel, just to maintain the same proportion of GDP, India will have to come up with a refinery every year. Every year, 20 million metric ton needs to be added for just to keep pace with 6.5% of GDP growth. So all that is not happening actually. And in between, even coal-based power plants are also not coming up so much. So this slack is to be made up by whom? It would be made up by nuclear, by renewable, and so on. So the current pace of growth of renewable, however much it is barely actually able to make up for whatever may be the shortfall in the generation capacity which is required. So what kind of impact it has on emissions? Obviously, emissions are not going to decrease with this kind of rollout of renewable power. And renewable power itself, there are a lot of bottlenecks. So we would want a lot of renewable power to be put up. But let us say you have sufficient capacity of modules, you have sufficient capacity of wind turbines and so on. But it is all based on the geography and the weather conditions. So there are limited good wind condition places. Secondly, this power has to be, you should have a transmission system adequate to take this power. Most of this power is at a CUF, which is far below what thermal or thermal power has. So it will be only working during certain parts of the day. So a lot of transmission capacity has to be built up. A lot of storage capacity has to be built up. And in addition to that, all the accessories which you have, for example, you have EVs, you have a lot of other things, power electronics, all of them, they need critical minerals, critical transition minerals, which we don't have. So we don't have magnets, permanent magnets, we don't have many other critical things, we don't make chips. So it is a huge, huge challenge in terms of increasing renewable power mix in India and reducing emission, whatever is happening. So now look at what is happening in urban areas. We have around 50 crore people who are living in urban areas. In 15, 20 years from now, this population is going to go up to around 80-90 crores. And today, as the income levels grow, the consumption of polymers, plastics, which is actually which is available, means which is part of all of those goods and services, goods which you are consuming, is going to increase. India is at a situation, at a level where our per capita consumption of plastics is 1/3 of world's level. And as your income grows, you will use more and more plastics, like HDP, LLDP, and various things. So if you use that, it is all non-biodegradable. How are your city is going to manage so much of waste, which is actually not going to get degraded? And then, obviously, there is municipal solid waste, there is a lot of other things. So your cities, there is a chance that your cities will become uninhabitable or will become very, very difficult to actually live. There are a lot of technology solutions people are working on, and many of them are going to transform the way we live now. But what is to be emphasized is that technology solutions, government's efforts and various schemes which government brings, that is one part. But as previous speaker said, that the buildings we inhabit are actually a reflection of our personality or what we become, so also is our habits. So we do not segregate the waste at source. We actually tend to litter. We do a lot of things which are not a good practice for a good, decent citizen. So that is a transformation which has to be there, which has to come. We all cannot live in cities in gated communities. So you cannot have some gated community within which all things function very well, and just you step outside and things are not working well. So there is a huge need for transformation in behavior as well for us to live in a decent society. Otherwise, you may have better standard of living by spending more on cleaning water, by spending more on various things. But as soon as you step out, it becomes very difficult. So I actually just wanted to put in a different perspective, which I thought has not been discussed or not been discussed in that detail in today's gathering. And that's all that I had to say. Thank you so much.
Before I request the next speaker, some of you may be thinking that, well, things are being said at a much higher level, at the societal level. What, as an individual, I can do? Again, I'll go to the quote of a great person, Dalai Lama. He says, are you aware what a single person can do? If not, try to sleep with a mosquito. So that's the power of a mosquito which can keep you alive. So now next speaker is Mr. Anurag, and he will be speaking on roof soil. You can see the stall over there.
Presentation will. Okay. Yeah. Good evening, all. My name is Anurag Chivilkar. I head the sales and business development at Roofsol Energy, and I am also one of the director. Sir, we are very grateful here to BCC and I to give us this opportunity to speak here and to display our services also. Also, it is a great experience to rub shoulders with such industry stalwarts and big companies like GAIL, NTPC, and DVC. Okay, so my presentation will be mostly focused on solar because that is what we do. That is what expertise we have. So mainly our company, Roofsol Energy Private Limited, we are an on-site solar EPC and developer. So these are the line of our businesses. First is the CapEx EPC business, which is the on-site rooftop EPC or on-site ground-mounted EPC, which we do. That is, the company started in 2016. We started doing EPC exclusively only for the commercial industrial clients. And now we have been gradually transitioned into a developer ourselves. We are building our own assets. We are investing in the customer premises. So roughly till now we have close to 450 megawatt of installations we have done all over India. We are a pan-India company based in Mumbai. And of those 450 megawatt, we will be completing 100 megawatt of our own assets. 100 megawatt of our own assets in the country. So as a IPP developer in the OPEX business in rooftop, and then we are also doing big projects ground mounted with some of the big developers in India like Cleantech, Berkeley. And recently, last 1.5 years, we have also ventured into residential business. So before that, we were just a pure B2B company catering to commercial and industrial clients. But MNRE themselves asked us to get into residential business also, because residential business is more of an unorganized players market. A lot of local players, local electricians are doing the installations and are not that, the installations are not of that quality catering to the residential customers. So that is why MNRE themselves asked us to start this residential business to mainly cater the customers of PM Surya Ghar Yojana, which has a subsidy component. So this company was founded by a Jadavpur alumnus, Mr. Deepankar Pal. He is, so 2016, I also started working with him from 2016. And he's an alumnus of IIM Kolkata also, advanced management program from London Business School, senior management roles all over the world with Mobil, Vopak, Shell. So he's a oil and gas person mainly. SHV Holdings, his most of the career went in this company, natural gas, 1996 to 2010. Then when he came back to India, he was the managing director of SR Ports, and then CEO of the SLAM company in the slurry pipeline division. And then he founded the Roofsol Energy in 2016, and eventually I also started working with him from the founding days. So these are some of the media mentions by Roofsol. So the rankings which they give, like this is from Crisil Bridge to India, we are ranked one of the top EPC. Top 5 EPC we are consistently being ranked in last 3-4 years. This is by a media agency called Mercom India. This is by a JMK Research and Analytics. So this is a mix of CapEx and OPEX business. So here between Tata and us, there is Amplus. We are also a CII certified rooftop vendor. So 2 years back, they did a big due diligence on the rooftop EPC players and certified this. They also did a due diligence of our company and then our projects. And then they basically certified us as a CII certified vendor. So as I said, we are a pan-India company. Due to our residential business, we have now opened new offices, warehouses all over the country. And our whole management team of 80-90 people, we sit in Mumbai, and then all over India on payroll of our company, there are more than 200 people. So I would like to show some of the photos of our execution. So this is apparently the world's largest rooftop solar plant on a single meter in a single premises, which we have. So this is the highlight of our company's career in last 9 to 10 years. So this is a company, a listed company called Sport King India in Batinda, Punjab. So the whole rooftop is covered by a 26 megawatt rooftop solar plant. So having such a big rooftop solar plant on a roof are very rare, not only in India, but all over the world. So this is the ground-mounted projects which we delivered for a developer called Cleantech, which is a Shell company. And this power which is generated is being transmission to a company in Chennai called Mando Automotive. So all the workings of, as an EPC, from the transmission lines to the control rooms to the transformers, switchyards. And this particular project was done with the solar trackers, where the table of the solar structure moves along with the trajectory of the sun. So capturing the maximum trajectory of the sun and the generation is 18-20% higher than a normal fixed structure. This is a project which we did with another listed company called Sriram Piston in Pathredi, Rajasthan, where the whole rooftop was actually covered with lot of equipments. And they wanted to use it maximum. So we elevated the structure to 12 feet, all the designing. So we have a design team of 40 engineers, which consists of electrical, mechanical, civil. So we do a detailed analysis of the structure, stat analysis, wind load, speed, everything, and we deliver such kind of projects, complex projects in the client's premises. This is Excite Industries we did in Haldia, West Bengal. So this was a project when this company was, this was a greenfield project. So when the company was getting constructed, parallelly we did this project for them. This is again a commercial installation for a water park of Malpani Group in Maharashtra. They have a water park up in Indore. So the whole car parking lot has been, because they don't have a roof, so the whole car parking lot is covered with solar panels and elevated structure. Then we have done multiple projects for Amul all over India. So this is what, this is also one of our highlights of our company, where we were the pioneer in starting solar projects in tea gardens in Northwest Bengal and in Assam. So these two regions we are actually doing more projects than Tata. And till now we have solarized more than 70 tea gardens in Assam and Northwest Bengal. And so the highlight of this particular installation is that 35% of the time they are using a diesel generator, because 35% of the time the power is not there, 65% is there. So now when grid is not there, DG is running, DG being integrated with solar, the diesel saving is very high when it is running in parallel with solar. So they are finding it more savings than the grid replacement itself. So multiple tea gardens we did. So OPEX solar projects, basically we go to the clients if it's we do some due diligence, and if it's a good rated client, generally we see that the rating of the client shall be BBB+ and above. Then we invest in their premises, we invest in the whole capex of the solar plant, and whatever power generated, we sign a power purchase agreement with them for minimum 15 years to 20 years to 25 years for a rate of, let's say, 3.5 to 4 rupees per unit, which is flat across all the years. And so it is a zero investment for the customer. They only need to give us the water for cleaning the panels. Rest, all things from the operation and maintenance, everything will be done by us. So this is one of the, again, OPEX installation in Rohtak, Haryana. So as I said, we ventured into residential business last 18 months with our brand name called Roofsol Homes. So now, as of now, we started with 3 states. Now we are present in 7 states. More than 1,200 residential projects we have executed in last 18 months. Total 3 megawatt of solar plants delivered till date. Total PM Surya Ghar Yojana subsidies disbursed to all those clients is close to 1.8 crore rupees. Offices and warehouse in all the locations to serve the residential customer. And the most important part for the residential is a strong network of the O&M team. So we are a registered vendor of MNRE and the Yojana itself. We have also developed our own vehicles like this to immediately service the customer to increase our speed of execution. So the topic which I was given was the solarizing the urban economy. So I would like to give a slighter perspective on the solar side of it. And so these are the basically which I have pulled up from the Central Electricity Authority. So already some of the speakers have already spoken of this, that the total energy generated and the total energy consumed by primary energy sources. So if you can see, the generated coal has been the major 79%. This is the data of 2023-34. And renewable energy sources is less than 10%, that is 7%. And when we are going into the consumption wise, the renewable energy goes down to 3%. And the crude oil, mainly the deficit of consumption to generation is due to the crude oil imports, which we are extensively doing. Now, if we see the consumption of this electricity sector-wise in India. So most of the consumption is of course done by the industry sector, but the second number is the domestic sector. So now this domestic sector mainly comes from cities where there are air conditioning, commercial installations and all. So, to solarize the urban economy or the solarize the cities, the domestic households, small households, the housing societies, is we have to see the transition how we shall do it. So if we see the total solar installation, total RE installation till now in India, around 200 gigawatt of installations has been done. In that solar, 129 gigawatt has been completed. And now in 129 gigawatt, you can see on ground mounted carries the major part. The ground mounted big projects are there, which generally the clients like NTPC and big developers do, Adani and all. So 98 gigawatt is been mainly contribution from them. And the grid connected solar rooftop. Now grid connected solar rooftop, also the majority comes from the industry and the rest comes from the domestic. Of course, the domestics have small roofs and they have their own challenges. So we'll come to that. So this is a very basic question. I will not spend much time on this. So why solar? So solar is basically you can install it anywhere, not like any other energy sources where you cannot install like a wind. Wind you need to do a lot of study and then install it. And other things also same thing. So and solar is a clean source of energy. There is no moving part. The maintenance is very less. Solar output is predictable. A lot of simulation models have been developed now. So the output and the ROI, IRR visibility is very high in solar. So why solar for urban areas? Of course, the obvious thing is that the energy demand is rising. Our temperatures are also rising due to the climate change. Every year, Mumbai is seeing high rise of temperature, Delhi is seeing high rise of temperature. So the amount of air conditioning's requirement is increasing, the amount of air blowers are increasing. So there is an energy demand high. Then climate commitments. So climate commitments when it comes, so this is more of a topic of an industrial client. Okay. So yesterday we were meeting a client. It's a big textile company in India. I will not name them. So they had a coal boilers running on coal, and they were exporting their produce to Europe. They are mostly like 30% of their exports are to Europe. So European clients were telling them from last 3 years to comply to their ESG initiatives, to convert their coal boilers to a sustainable source, either through solar or a biogas or a biomass. And they were postponing their decision due to XYZ reason. And one day it came that European client just said that we will not take your produce. You first be ESG compliant. So overnight they had to stop their production. Their production got affected for 3 months. In those 3 months they converted to total biomass, and then they started their factory again. And then those European clients started to take their produce again. So this is how basically in India also there is a renewable purchase obligation, but no one is implementing it seriously. Even government is not enforcing it. There is no carbon credit mechanism being developed in India properly. That is why the companies are currently doing solar due to their internal targets and due to maybe they are exporting to European countries or such countries where ESG compliance is required. But in India, as of now, there is no clear development of any carbon credit mechanism or any credit mechanism. So most of our clients who are there, they try to fulfill their RE targets through putting rooftop solar, open access solar. So this is what it comes. Cost savings, of course, this is a no-brainer that putting solar replaces your grid, and up to 30 to 60% you can save your own electricity bill. Grid reliability reduces the load on the transmission and distribution network. Air quality, of course, I covered that in my earlier slide, that it is a clean source of energy. So these are very interesting topics now upcoming. I would like to stress on this for urban areas typically, where a consumer, a residential consumer mainly, they don't have consumption much in daytime, or they go to their work or office in daytime, but they have a high consumption in evening time. So for those consumers, what are the policies which are already there and which are upcoming? So net metering, net billing, gross metering is already there in most of the states. 2015 it started. It got pushed by the center in 2011, but most of the state adopted in 2015. So when the solar is generating, but you are not consuming, it goes to the grid, it gets banked, and when you are using it, you get the credits of that. So that is basically net metering. And net billing is simple. Whatever goes in the grid, you get a rebate back at a certain rate. So this already is there in commercial, industrial, residential. Then the topics like virtual net metering, group net metering, virtual PPA. So now, so most of our urban population is living in the housing societies. Now housing societies have a limited rooftop space. Even if they put up a rooftop solar plant, it will be only catering to their common load, like elevator and water pumps and all. But each and every home will not get that solar power benefit. So for that, the central has pushed this policy, virtual net metering, where a policy allowing multiple consumers such as residents in a housing society to share the benefit of a single off-site solar project. So the solar project will be installed somewhere else. Like we are now exploring with some warehouse owners like Indospace in near Mumbai, where they have huge warehouses, but the consumption is not there inside the warehouse. Okay, so we can put solar on such spaces which are not on use because land cost is very high. So the rooftop which are in use, we can put those and then give the benefit to these household owners who are living in the housing societies. So already Maharashtra has came up with this policy. They have started to put it on their software, but still the implementation is pending. A lot of states have came up with these policies, but implementation is still pending. So group net metering is there, which allow a consumer in a housing society or an industry to share the benefits of a single rooftop solar system. So multiple consumers, one solar system, they are all getting benefit of group net metering. Then virtual PPA, a financial contract. So there is no physical delivery of the power. Like in rooftop, there is a physical delivery of the power, and in off-site solar project is also a particular consumer. Here there is no physical delivery of power. This is called a virtual PPA. Virtual power purchase agreement. Okay, now green open access center came with this policy. Like now, if a client wants to go for open access, he wants to set up plant somewhere else because he doesn't have a rooftop space and he wants to take the solar power. For that, the contract demand of that client shall be minimum 1 megawatt. So that was the rule by Central Electricity Authority. But now green open access has toned down into 100 kilowatt. So 100 kilowatt, any retail store or any small establishment who has more than 100 kilowatt load can also avail open access. So in Maharashtra, it was now, after Central came up with this policy, Maharashtra implemented it, and DMart is one of the first vendor in Maharashtra, DMart, one of the retailer who has started availing this green open access. Still it is being not implemented anywhere in India. Central has done. So this is the problem. I will come to that. I am only 2-3 slides away from my presentation now. So what are the challenges basically now, the pace of solar deployment, why it is not happening as it is expected. So large dependence on China for raw material. Many of you know that the silicon semiconductor, which is a basic raw material of a solar panel, comes from China. Our Indian manufacturers are only doing the last 2-3 things, converting cell to wafer, wafer to module. But the main cell which is there, which mainly 95% of the market and the raw material market is in China. Solar plant load factor is only 16 to 20% because it generates only in daytime. Also it generates only, the peak generation is between 11 to 1 only. Rest of the time the graph is less. Large land parcel are required because solar efficiency is still around only 23% for commercially available technologies. So whatever commercially available which are making sense commercially are only 23%. Shadow objects and complex roofs in urban area, of course. Shadow objects are there, some building is there below you, so it is casting shadow on your roofs. Again, as I said, electricity is a state subject in India. So even if central government is making policy, electricity is a state subject, so the DISCOMs in that particular states are making decision for their own on the basis of central policy. So that is a problem between disconnect between central and state. Resistance of DISCOMs from hampering fast development. Of course, DISCOMs are, you can say, scared. If solar deployment happens at a faster speed, their customer, their industrial and customer who pay them 9 and 15 rupees will go away, and they will run into losses. So they have a lot of resistance in implementing all those central policies. Government policies to safeguard local solar module and cell manufacturer. So this is also creating a gap between demand and supply. Demand is huge. So China was supplying. Recently, government came with the LMM policy, which only allows Indian module manufacturers to sell their modules to the projects which are going on. So that is also hampering the pace of solar development. So what are the solutions? So boost manufacturing of solar modules in India. Of course, this is one thing, but the raw material will be always a question. Then the reliability of solar. So solar generates only in daytime. So how we can increase its plant load factor? We can increase its plant load factor up to 90% by integrating wind and BESS, that is a battery energy storage system. Batteries still are not making a commercial sense for a normal commercial or industrial or a residential customer. I think, but when solar was also costly in 2010-11, ultimately the price is now at its lowest. So battery energy systems also, I think, the cost will go down. It is just a wait game. So uniform solar policy all over India and single window clearance for all approvals. Incentivizing DISCOMs from promoting solar. So DISCOM, of course, if you want to, we need support of DISCOM to run solar because it is a grid interactive system. So we need to incentivize the DISCOM by paying them some banking charges or some solar support charges. Already many states have implemented it to make sense also for them to support the solar deployment. Yeah. So this is pretty much from my side. Thank you.
Before I hand over to the last speaker and a very important topic, let me tell what is there in there is a specialized United Nations body known as UN's Habitat. And what does it say very boldly in its website? The next battle of sustainability will be won or lost in cities. So that's a very bold statement. So, and we are also in the biggest city in Delhi, a very topical subject about Delhi pollution from a very big expert, Mr. Kaushik. Thank you.
On experience in industry or in planning. Whatever I have learned is by talking to people like you and some of my colleagues. So it is somewhat of a daunting task for me. So anyhow, the first thing that I really want to talk about is we always usually the thing is to talk about Delhi's pollution as an emergency. These 4-5 winter months, when things really become bad. And usually the argument is to blame it on the festivities or stubble burning or the winter air. These are all right criticisms, but I would say that is only just one part of the story. Let me present some figures to put things in perspective. Before this current spell of bad air began, Delhi had what was called a good spell. But it was only a relatively good spell. Let me clarify. Delhi had the average AQI in Delhi from January to September was about 150 to 160. According to the CPCB criteria, which that would fall under the moderate. What is moderate? Moderate is something where people who are relatively healthy will not be affected, but people with health conditions, it is likely to affect such people. Now, this is obviously an average. So there has to be some good, actually some good days within that 100 and in this 60, in these 9 months. Let me tell you that in between January to September, Delhi had just 2 days where the air quality was around 60 AQI. Last year, there were only 4 days where the AQI was under 50. Under 50 is supposed to be good. Above 50 is satisfactory. And more than 100 is moderate, where people with health conditions are susceptible. So my argument is that Delhi's baseline pollution has always been high. Now, some positive news on that front. In 2018, Delhi had 206 days where the air quality was poor to severe, and 159 days where the air quality ranged from good to moderate. This is good to moderate. We don't know how much of that is good and how much of that is moderate. But anyhow, now, come to 2024, 2023, it's exactly, the situation has exactly reversed. Last year, Delhi had 157 days when the air quality was in the severe to poor zone, and 210 days when the air quality was actually in the good to moderate. That's good news. But let me temper this good news a bit. What the average AQI in 2018 was 225. In 2023 and 2024, even with all this, the improvement, the average AQI is still 209. So what it actually means is that the good to moderate zone that we actually qualify is mostly moderate zone, where people who are actually have a burden of non-communicable diseases are susceptible to. And Delhi has the first thing to do is to tackle the baseline pollution that Delhi has. And then, obviously, there would be emergencies, but a city with a big baseline pollution load should not be thinking of just the emergency, but also tackling it on a year-round basis. Why is that important? It is only very recently, maybe 5 to 7 years, that policy has begun to take note or join the dots between health and environment. But again, this is done very sketchily. People recognize that bad air can cause asthma. Bad air is not good for people with respiratory diseases. Even it's not good for old people. But the larger issue is that we should also recognize that India is a country with a large burden of communicable diseases. heart diseases, diabetes. The bad air is, affects all people. And the link between bad air, people's well-being, general economic productivity is something that we are still not making, or people who are, those who are making it are few doctors, few scientists, maybe few NGO activists. It is still not being made in policy circles. In fact, the first thing to do, and if we talk about solutions, the first thing to do is to educate the municipalities about the seriousness of the air pollution. These surveys have not been done for the last 2-3 years, but the last survey of, and this is not just Delhi, shows that municipality officials, excluding the pollution specialists, are not aware of the seriousness of the pollution issue. It is only the doctors or a few specialists who are aware of the. So the first thing to do is, first challenge is the awareness challenge. Then pollution, with Delhi pollution is also, it's a lot of Delhi's pollution is also because of Delhi's geographical location. The Delhi airshed, it is prone to trapping particulate matter, especially when during winters when the wind doesn't blow. And then it is also a result of lifestyle and economic choices that we made. There's very little that we can do to alter Delhi's geography. But there are some low-hanging fruits which it would be it could be good if you could start with the low-hanging fruits. A substantial chunk of Delhi's pollution is actually dust pollution. And when we speak of habitats, dust is a major factor. Dust pollution is after vehicular or industrial pollution, which are relatively difficult to address, is the easiest, and it's a municipal challenge. There are studies which show that unpaved roads are actually petri dishes for dust pollution. So the first thing, or perhaps the lowest hanging thing to do, would be to address dust pollution, and that is not sprinkling water during emergencies. Is okay. It is it's an emergency thing. It is only it can do only so much, but just look at Delhi's roads. If Delhi's roads were to be the wear and tear in Delhi's road is addressed, that's a large part of the pollution challenge addressed. It's still not addressed, but large part of it is addressed. That's the lowest hanging fruit, and that, to my mind, that is something that that's the first thing that the municipalities should be doing. It's another matter that we have a municipality, or we have had a municipality which was as at loggerheads with the government because there were two different governments. But now it's now been a year that Delhi would almost has a triple engine sarkar. So if perhaps a good way to begin would be to address this, the condition of Delhi's roads. A comparison is often made between Delhi and London. London in the 1950s till the early 60s used to have a great pollution problem. And the story often is said that London addressed it by the 1960s. Now, again, that is a part of the story. Yes, London addressed it by the 1960s, but London has been constantly at work till even last year in upgrading what needs to be done to alleviate pollution. Delhi, for example, in 2099 or 2000, with the CNG, a part of the pollution was addressed. But then partial measures will never work. Then the second issue is addressing vehicular pollution is actually a big challenge. Now there are studies which say that if the 15-year-old fleet of Delhi's car were to be replaced, a lot of the pollution would have been addressed. But then again, that was not done. The issue also is that a lot of the cars that come to Delhi are not actually come from Delhi. They come from outside, which brings us to something which scientists have now started calling an airshed approach to pollution. Delhi is just part of a larger airshed which extends from northern Punjab and goes down to Uttar Pradesh, perhaps even Bihar. Now, and if you look at data, the last Lancet data says that actually the most polluted city in India is Mughal Sarai in Bihar, which again establishes the salience of an airshed approach. So in other words, the pollution in Delhi is, it is not to be seen as an emergency. Two, it has to be seen at the level of adequate awareness between health and environment and pollution. Three, it has to be seen as a part of a larger area, a larger airshed problem. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
So Formally our session comes to an end. Let me call upon convener, Mr. BP. Bishop, you please come over and take it. Okay, okay. Thank you.
I would call on stage Dulal Mitroda, 1970 civil batch. If you are here, please come down to give the mementos, please. Dulalda will hand over the memento to Mr. Girish.
Please.
Girish Shah from HPCL Mittal Energy. Second, Dulal sir, please wait. Anurag sir will be the next recipient.
In fact, a big clap for Anurag. He has come all the way from Mumbai. Got up very early in the morning to catch a very early morning flight to come to Delhi, met a client near ITO, and then really came here to make this speech. Thank you very much, Anurag. Thank you.
Next recipient would be Kaushik Dasgupta, Indian Express.
Kaushik is only the journalist who was a speaker over here, only journalist from Indian Express. He was a speaker here. He stays at the borderline between Noida and Delhi. That's why he is very talking about Delhi, I know. Okay.
May I call upon stage now Parthosharoti Prodipto Dotto sir. Da.
Prodipto Dotto, please. Prodipto Dotto, please, is the 1973 chemical engineer and Narendrapur Ramkrishna Mission.
Prodipto Dotto sir will hand over it to Shantanu Roy. Next, and Prodipto Roy sir will also give to S. Radhakrishnan sir.
The SRK, the calculator SRK, by the way. That's
Yes,
why
in Bengali
Mr.
we call
Radhakrishnan
it
is known
as
for.
SRK in Kolkata.
The original SRK.
So I hand over it to BP sir now.
Okay,
Please take over. Thank you.